So we're going to have a session on naming conventions and some suggestions around that. All right, so firstly, let's think about why should we use naming conventions? First thing that comes to my mind is reporting. So when you build reports in Google Ads or Google Data Studio or many other reporting suites, it's great to be able to refer to campaign names particularly and say, if my campaign contains brand, then I know it's a brand campaign. So maybe I split that out and report differently to other campaign types. So it makes life a lot easier in terms of constructing reports. It's also much easier if you've got big accounts, much easier to filter and find things, not only for you, but for other team members as well. So if you've got a team and someone is in control of an account and they leave or they're sick or something like that, another team member can jump into that account and understand exactly what the naming protocols are in that account. So if they're looking for performance on a particular thing, they can go straight to it. They don't have to sort of try and work out what your naming protocol is. The other thing that it does allow for is for rules and automations. If you've got naming conventions, then you can run automations off your naming protocols. If you don't have naming protocols that are consistent and repeatable, then you just can't run that level of automation. And you know what we're talking about here is trying to take you to a new level of automation where you get machines to do the stuff that machines really should be good at doing and do a lot of, and just inject you as kind of the decision maker and the strategic mind over the top of things. But all of the grunt work should be done ideally by machines. So I guess that's what we're trying to elevate you to. So in the case of PPC Samurai, how we use naming protocols is we encourage people to call something the same thing across all clients. So then you can build a workflow that is a process that represents an activity that you would do when you get into Google Ads. So let's just pick something. Let's say one of your activities might be, I go to Google and I check my search term report and I add keywords and I add negatives based on what I find. So that's a pretty common activity that people do. So in PPC Samurai, you can use naming protocols to determine what the rules are that determine then which search terms you look at. So you can say, maybe for brand search terms, I only want to look at search terms that have maybe 5 impressions a month or something. But for my other campaigns, I want to look at every search term. That might be a thing. So you can sort of determine how a particular process behaves based on the naming protocols in your campaigns and ad groups. So we've got just some ideas, and these are by no means the right way to do any of this stuff. It's just some suggestions. So the way I like to do things is I will tend to name my campaign types first. So I'll say it's a search or a display or whatever. In the naming protocol, I would encourage you to do something that is like a unique character and then some sort of descriptive acronym. Now, the reason I like to use the discrete character or the unique character is that it can't then be, this little snippet can't be part of a natural word. So SEA could be part of many words, but if I've got underscore SEA, it's unique. So that is a unique identifier that says this campaign is a search campaign. It's not like a search and rescue campaign or something like that. That actually might not be a search campaign. It might be a display campaign. So that's why I like the little unique sort of identifier in there. So you'll see that's common all the way through. So I'm not going to go through every one of those, but basically come up with something that includes some sort of unique identifier and some words or some acronym that to you means this is a search, this is a display, etc. Then go past that and start to look at what sort of subsets of campaigns, if appropriate, should I be naming these things? And so, like for remarketing, for example, I'd be doing something like that, or a smart campaign, I'd be doing something like that. And the reason for that is that I may want to treat a standard search campaign different from a remarketing search campaign because they're kind of two different things. So I might want workflows or scripts or something to be running differently on each one of those things. So if I start combining these naming protocols, I ended up, if you jump down the bottom here, you can see some example combinations. So, if I've got a smart shopping campaign, I'd be doing like underscore SHO underscore smart. So that tells me and everyone else who looks at this campaign, who knows my naming protocol, what this campaign actually is. And it also tells any automation that I'm running either to do something on this campaign or ignore it based on the naming protocols. And here's just some extra sort of ones that I see reasonably regularly. So location and mobiles and device types, that sort of thing.